Hello memecoin degens and welcome back to Memecoin Academy. I have a very special show for you today and a must-see episode. Today's episode is going to be based on the upcoming memecoin and altcoin super cycle. If you like what you see today, please hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment and follow our channel for more videos. Now, what is the memecoin and altcoin super cycle, you may ask? And it's actually very specific, and it's something that occurs during a bull run once every 3 to 4 years in Bitcoin's cycle. All right. So what technically happens is when Bitcoin breaks its previous all-time high and breaks it with convictions and heads up to a new all-time high, the altcoin market and memecoin market has what's known as a super cycle. And basically, this is where the altcoins gain the most momentum and make the biggest gains against Bitcoin, right? And this is where you can make generational wealth. This is where you make life-changing wealth, okay? Because the thing with altcoins and meme coins, in Bitcoin's 4 year cycle history that's been going for since its inception, not meme coins and altcoins generally go down 90% of the time. They're not going up. But for a very small window and a very small period within each 4 year cycle, altcoins and meme coins really have their day, and they can have it in a massive way. And the point of today's episode is I want to show you when the next one will possibly be occurring, when it will begin, and when it will end. And we're going to look back at previous data to look at the previous super cycles and how long these went for and what we need to look at going forward over the next 6 to 12 months, okay? So first of all, we're going to look at a couple of charts today. We're going to look at the BLX chart, which goes over Bitcoin's whole history, right? And this is what I have in front of me. And we'll also go over the BTC.D chart, which is Bitcoin dominance, okay? Bitcoin dominance is very important altcoins super cycle because the dominance of Bitcoin is what gives the altcoins the push when the capital comes into the market, right? And I'll explain more about that later so you understand. But to start with, we'll start off on the BLX chart here. And what you can see in front of me is we have each blue vertical line here. That is the halvings, the previous halvings, right? So I've just got that on for reference. We're not really going to be using that today, but just so you know where we are. And the white lines here I've got marked out, right? Which are the previous all-time highs, okay? So this is the previous all-time high going back to November 2013, okay? That's the 2013 high. We also have here the December 2017 high, right? Which marked out in white. I've also marked out the previous all-time high of November 2021, okay? Even though we've made a new all-time high here, for the sake of today, it's not relevant really, and I'll show you why and you'll understand as we go along. But these 3 points of reference are very important. We're not going to worry about the previous one back down here in 2011. We're just going to focus on these three, okay? Right, so first of all, what we want to do is, this is all about time, okay? And we're in a very critical point at the market at the moment. And there's a lot of fear and uncertainty of doubt about what's happening in the market as a whole. Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? But look, this period in the 4 year cycle is generally a cooling off period, okay? It's generally a sideways period. If you look at this range we're in here, just up here, well, this technically happens every time in this cycle, right? The price just goes sideways, and it really shakes out the weak hands, because the problem with these sideways period is after an impulsive move up like we had, and we had a new all-time high prior to this previous halving, is it got so many people excited and so many people bought into the market, and the altcoins had a massive run. But the problem is when you have this sideways movement and the market slowly bleeds out, well, the altcoins really bleed out hard. And this is where the FUD's coming from. And a lot of people are getting scared. A lot of people have lost a lot of money because they're just getting shaken out in this sideways period. So is this going to continue? Well, yes, it may do, but we'll have to wait and see. But the question is for how long? Okay, and that's what we're going to look into today. So the first thing I want to do is, what I want to do is I want to measure the distance, or the time that it took from its previous all-time high to when the Bitcoin price actually broke out of this range of the previous all-time high with conviction and didn't come back. As you can see in this period here, it hit it, it came above, back down, but then we want to see the breakout and it actually break out. That's where we're going to take the point of reference from, okay? So we'll take our date range tool, right? And we'll put the magnet tools on. We'll take it from the all-time high right across to the breakout point, right? So this one in 20, what's this one? This one is the all-time high from November 2012 to the breakout point, which was April 2017. Okay, so that was 1,239 days, right? From all-time high to it breaking its previous all-time high. So the next one we'll take is, we'll take the date range and we'll take it from here. We'll drag it all the way across. And this one was 1,099 days it took, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the average of that, or we'll measure them both out, but we'll take the average, right? And we'll see where we are at this point of this cycle, okay? So all-time high from here, this all-time high here, the previous all-time high, okay, across, and we'll take it to 1,099 days, right? 1,099 days roughly, okay? And keep in mind, we're on a weekly chart here. So this is, within days to a week of the time frame. So what you can see there is, we'll just scroll in. So this is the same time period as 2017, 2018 that we've got on here now. So if this was to play out the same as the last cycle, well, that means that we should be breaking the Bitcoin price should be breaking its all-time high by roughly Monday, the 11th of November, okay? So let's just say anywhere from the start of November to mid-November, if it's to play out the same way as it did in 2018, that it should be this, in a couple of months' time, right? So let's just say we measure it on the previous one. So that was 1,239 days. Okay, so 1,239 days. We'll drag this out, 1,239 days. And keep in mind, so far we've got November, start of November, that price could break its all-time high. So price could technically, come down and do this here. Okay, one scenario. We take it out 1,239 days. Where does that take us to? Okay. That takes us to a date of basically the end of March, right? 2025. Okay. So have a think about that and put that in perspective of time frame. Okay. So November to March, right? There's what? That's a 5-month window, pretty much a full 5-month window that we have for price to break its previous all-time high. There's a few scenarios that could play out here, right? In this time period, right? There's a couple for you there, right? This is just purely a speculation, right? But it gives you an idea of time of how price could play out, right? And if we took the average of this, and price broke it, say, in 2.5 months' time, or let's say, sorry, 4 months' time, or 3.5 months' time, well, it gives you an idea of this is the time period we have left. Okay, all this time, and if it is to play out till end of March next year, beginning of April, that's a fair amount of time, isn't it? Okay, so in this cycle, there is still time to go sideways. There's still time to shake a lot of people out. That is unless that we break the all-time high sooner. Okay, so just for reference, you know where we are in that. Okay, so next we will have a look at. I want to take these off. Right, get rid of these. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to measure out the all-time highs to all-time highs, right? So if we take this out from this previous all-time high here to the next all-time high, what does that give us? That gives us 1,477 days. Okay, 1,477 days it took to make a new all-time high, right? Let's look at this one. Take this out to the next. There we go, to there. Zoom in a bit. See if that made it. Yep. So this one's 1,420 days. Okay. So we had 1,477 days, 1,421 days. Okay. So if we take 1,421 days, for argument's sake, to find out when our next possible all-time high is, 1,421 days takes us to a date of Monday, September 29. Okay, so basically the start of October. October 2025 is possibly when we could expect a new all-time high. Okay, that's still a whole nother year away. Okay, if we look at history and we look what it's done, the average of the last two cycles, this is how long it's taken to play out, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. If it takes longer and it takes, say, roughly around 477 days, well, that takes us to 477. When does that take us to? That takes us to basically nearly the end of November, the start of December. Okay, so we could possibly see the next all-time high for Bitcoin at the end of next year, right? So I want you to keep that in mind as well. Now, on top of this, there's a lot of information here I want you to retain, but it all adds up. So the next thing I want you to do is take this into consideration. And this is where the altcoin aspect of it comes in and where the super cycle secret lies, okay? And this is very important because within the next 3 to 6 months, right, we're coming up to this cycle point, and this is something to really pay attention to. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the date range tool, okay, of when price broke out of this range, right, with conviction and didn't go back, and when it found its all-time high, okay? This one here was 238 days. 238 days it took to go from breaking its previous all-time high to the next all-time high, okay? We'll have a look at this one here. Date range tool again. Take it from the breakout point, right, to the all-time high. So this one is 329 days, right? 329 days it took from the breakout to the all-time high. 238 from the breakout to the all-time high. So what I want to do now is I just want to go back, and I want to go back to these breakout points on from the all-time high to the breakout, right? I'll go there. That was 1,239 days. This one was 1,099 days. There it is. Now, we'll take this one back to 1,099 days, same as the prior cycle here, okay? Which means that the breakout of the previous all-time high of 2021 would be around the start of November, if you remember correctly. Okay. So if Bitcoin breaks out, we'll take our date range tool at the start of November and breaks this point here and goes for an average of 238 days, right? Same as this period here, from breakout to all-time high. That means we could expect an all-time high at or on around the mid-July, okay? Possibly mid-July, okay? If we take it out the same period here, right? 329 days. Let's see what this date is. Okay. That takes us to start of October, right? So technically, based on the last two cycles, the Bitcoin all-time high could come in between July and October 2025. And then as far out, possibly, as December. So we have a 6 month window, technically, of an all-time high. It just depends on how quickly price breaks this and heads up, right? And once again, this is all speculation, but it's food for thought based on what's happened in history, right? Because this is the data we have at our disposal. I can sense what you're thinking. You're thinking, Brad, this is all wonderful, and I can see what Bitcoin's doing here, but how does this help the Bitcoin, the altcoin super cycle, right? And like, how does this affect it? Well, this is where the Bitcoin dominance is, and what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart now quickly, and then what I'm going to do is overlay the BLX chart with the Bitcoin chart. Now, what I want you to see is, so this is data goes only back to 2014 here, so we can only technically do the last two cycles, right? But this is where it gets very interesting, and this is what you need to keep your eye on, because what needs to happen is the Bitcoin dominance, right, needs to head down, and it needs to slingshot or catapult all this money, and transfer all this wealth into the altcoins to make them have their super cycle, right? We've seen it twice already in history, and I'm going to point them out now, okay? We'll take the ray tool here, and we'll just take it from this high point to this lower point here. And what you can see is that the Bitcoin dominance, right, is at about 56, nearly 50, at 57.5 at the moment, and it's just breaking its trend line resistance, right? Which is quite interesting, okay? So this may have some relevance moving forward, but we need more time to play out to see, okay? Does this actually, you know, SFP this and come back down and start heading down, or does it find it a support and keep going up? We're yet to see. But it's interesting all the same, okay? So that's something to keep your eye on. Now, what I want to show you here is when the last two times this cycle happened, okay? So if we just go back to the BLX chart quickly, right? I'm going to show you right here. So we're going to take the date of when the breakout was, okay? It was the breakout. Here was first one was Monday, 17th of April. It was 17th of April 2017, okay? So if we go and look at the April 17, 2017, right? April 2017 was here. Look at that. April 2017 was here. Okay. And what can you see in this period here? I'm going to highlight it for you. April 17, like that. I've highlighted that, okay? Now we'll go back to the BLX chart and I'll have a look at this one up here, okay? So this one up here, the breakout happened Monday the 14th of December 2020. And once again, weekly chart, So roughly, right? So when did that occur? Monday, 14th, right about here. Right about here. And okay. Now what similarities can you see here? Okay. Is that right here at the top here, this was where the breakout happened. And the the opposite happened. So Bitcoin dominance was up here at about 95%, and it came down all the way to 35.5. 35.5%, right? This was our second breakout in 2021. Bitcoin dominance dropped from 73.5% all the way down to 40%. Okay. So let's just see that in percentage, what that was. So percentage here, that was about 62%. Percentage here, that was about roughly 40, yeah, let's just say 47%. Okay. 47% and 62%. Okay. So this is what needs to happen, right? What the Bitcoin dominance is the amount of capital allocated in Bitcoin, right? And what you could see here that at this point in time there was 95% of all money in the crypto market in Bitcoin, right? And then it transferred its wealth to the altcoins. When it got down to 35%, there was only 35% of the money in in Bitcoin, right? The rest got transferred to the altcoins, right? And this all the while, this is why while the total market cap was increasing, okay? At the time, not only did you have the wealth transferring, you had money coming in to the market, fresh money, new money, also transferring straight into the altcoins. The same thing happened here, right? So what does this mean? Well, basically, in this time period that we have from, as you remember, November to March next year, is we have another window, a possible window, where this could be happening again. Okay, and this is what the super cycle is based on. So we'll take it November to March. Yeah, I'm going ahead of myself here. It's March. There we go. This is our super cycle window, right? Roughly. That's it. This is this period here, okay? Now the question is what is Bitcoin dominance going to do here, okay? And where's it going to top out? So one thing to remember as well, in this period here, the actual real transfer of wealth into the altcoins actually happened, even though the dominance was coming down quite significantly here. The big transfer of dominance actually happened about here, which coincided, if you look here, which is Monday, December, the start of December, right? If you look back at the BLX chart, right? Well, the start of December coincided with nearly the very top. See that? The very top of the 2017 top. So that's and there was big gains to be made here, but the huge gains came when the Bitcoin dominance dumped in this period down, okay? And it was actually quite short-lived. It only lasted a couple of months to, yeah, 2 months from memory. But the gains were insane. It was generational wealth, life-changing wealth, okay, that happened here. And the same thing happened here, right? 2 months to a 5 month period. This is where you make your huge gains, right? And we're coming up to that now. And this is why it's really important to pay attention, okay? So we'll go back to the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, what we're looking at here is when could this possibly occur? And when could we see basically Bitcoin make a new all-time high from this point onwards? And what would the dominance be doing in this time? Okay, well, to give us an idea, what we're going to do is we're going to take our Fibonacci retracement tool, right? So we're going to do a Fibonacci expansion, sorry. And we're taking it from high to low, okay? And what you can see here is the dominance came back up and it found perfect resistance at our 618, right? Perfect resistance. Now we're going to keep this fib on for reference, okay? And I want to take the same measurement, but from this high to this low, okay? So we'll take this here from this point high to this low, and we'll see where the 618 comes in. Now, the 618 here only comes in like, what's that? Probably about 4% away from the 618. So really, if Bitcoin's to make a new all-time high, then that means that if we're going to find resistance at our 618 once again, well, that means we've only got 5% to move. Doesn't really sound that realistic to me at this point in time with how much time's going on. However, unless that this trend line is actually going to play some serious resistance and throw a spanner in the works in the meantime in the market, you know, is this trend line going to really, you know, have an effect, right, in one way or another? I'm not sure. It's yet to be seen. Could it? Could it just carry on? This is what we have to look out for, okay? Does this trend line play a part? Okay, there's one. There's a scenario. What I actually would be more leaning towards, and what I think the more probabilities are, is that this Fibonacci pull, right? What I think would be more likely in a time sense would be that, let's just say Bitcoin was to break anywhere in this window here, right? From November to March, right? I would be looking at the equilibrium, the 0.5 of the previous range, right? From this 50% level from low to high, okay? Up to our blue pocket, right? Our 786 and 0.75, okay? This would be a zone that I would be looking for the, say, Bitcoin dominance to come up to, right? If Bitcoin was to start making new all-time highs, then this is where I think we would start to see a turnaround, okay? Equilibrium in any range is very, very important, okay? So that's something to keep your eye on. 65% Bitcoin dominance, right? Now, what you want to see as well is Bitcoin dominance. For us to have a massive super cycle, okay, we would need to see the Bitcoin dominance come down at least 30%, at least, okay? And what we can do is just draw a simple trend, okay? Put the magnet tool back on. We'll go from that low to this low here, okay? We could be coming down to there. We could break that and come down even further. Who knows? No one knows. But if it was to come down 50% like the prior cycle, well then, you know, that's a long way down. But roughly, let's just say that we're using this bottom trend line as support. Well, we could be seeing another 37% dump in Bitcoin dominance, right? And this is what will give us the leverage for our next super cycle, okay? Now, what I want to do here is I just want to get rid of these drawings, okay? Remove the drawings. And what I want to do is overlay the BLX chart with this current chart here. I'm just going to change the color to a different color. We will make it yellow for today's exercise, and I'll just change the thickness of the line. Okay, just so it's easier to see. Okay. Now, what we have here is in the candles. This is the Bitcoin dominance that the chart we're on. And what this yellow line is the Bitcoin price, right? And what I want you to see is I want you to see what the dominance did comparable to the Bitcoin price, okay? So I'm going to highlight it the same way as we did before, okay? So we have Bitcoin dominance dropping, the candles, right? Bitcoin price pumping and then dumping, right? And look what the dominance did. Boom, came down. This is super cycle one. Super cycle one, right? That was number one, 2018, okay? The next one, Bitcoin dominance, starts to come down here, right? Bitcoin price goes up, starts to pump, right? Starts to head up. Bitcoin price, up she goes. Bitcoin dominance comes down. The slingshot effect, the catapult. This Bitcoin dominance coming down, that is the catapult effect. That is what we're looking for. This was number two, okay? Right? So now we're looking for number three. And here we are, current day, okay? So I'll put our window back on again. Start of November. Get it right. Right on there, roughly, to March. This is our window, okay? This is our window, guys. Right? I got it right? There it is, okay? This is our window where we need to see price come up and break up for a new all-time high within this window, okay? And continue for more upside, right? So if we take our date range tool again, right, and we take it from the all-time high here, right, across, and I'll put it out for reference. So if you remember the date ranges, it's 1,099 days, right? It was that one there, see? Start of November, out to 1,234 days it was. That's our window, okay? July to October. July, yeah, to October for a new all-time high. Somewhere up in this region, right? Let's just say roughly. So just to recap, what we need to be looking for in this period, right? Start of November is we want to see the Bitcoin price break through this window after November or before March and head up and break up to new all-time highs with conviction, while Bitcoin dominance moves up and then turns down at the same time, okay? This right here, this is what the Bitcoin and altcoin super cycle is, okay? What it is the transfer of wealth from Bitcoin to the altcoins while this scenario plays out. And if you think while the Bitcoin price is going up while this is occurring, you know, the crypto market cap is sitting at what, a $2.2 trillion market cap at the moment, right? Well, let's just say it does a 5 times from here. That's $10 trillion. You know, that's another, what, $8 trillion worth of capital coming into this market, right? That's going to go into Bitcoin and the altcoins, but then, you know, a fair majority of it then transfer into the altcoins. That is exactly what the super cycle is. And this is why it only happens in such a short window every 4 years. But this is what you need to be keeping your eyes peeled for, is anywhere from the start of November to March for Bitcoin to be breaking its all-time highs, right? We'll get rid of this so you can see. To be breaking this white line, we need it to break it and head up with conviction, right? While seeing the Bitcoin dominance heading down, okay? So please keep your eyes peeled for that. Very important. And if you can keep your money out of the altcoins and keep it in cash or keep it in USDT at the moment, or any stable coin, and just wait for this. Just keep your eyes peeled for this and have, your favorite meme coins and your favorite altcoins picked out already that you want to invest in. And then you start entering or dollar cost averaging into these tokens. When this process starts, I can guarantee you will experience life-changing wealth like has occurred in the last 2 cycles. Well, that's all we had time for today, and I really hope that was helpful for you and you enjoyed that. And please keep your eyes peeled for this, because the next 6 to 12 months are going to be really, really exciting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.